All right. Aloha, everyone. STEM² Symposium 2020. I am Stacy Prellberg. I'm just going to share my screen for a second. Give you guys a little bit more info. Oh, wait. Present. Okay. So I'm Stacy Prellberg. I'm from Hawaii Island. I'm a STEM² graduate, and I'm living in Mo'ili'ili, but I'm working in Makiki. I've worked in Waialua. I worked in Waikoloa, and I was an elementary school Emma elementary school teacher, and now I'm teaching teachers. Today I want to bring my husband Matt, who's in the picture in the middle. He is here with me, but not here with me, but I'm bringing him with me. And if you've ever been in a STEM² program, you know exactly what I'm talking about, bringing people with you to the place and the space you are at the moment. So up in Hilo as a kid, you can see on the left side, that's me with my fabulous 90s mullet. Super, the day I was born, I was fabulous. And then, of course, me on the right, that's me doing online teaching. We get this symposium face-to-face, but this year it is on this online space, just like we all did when we transitioned when COVID-19 hit. This symposium was put on tech really quickly, and we are now innovating in this space. So thank you all for being, one, patient with us and be open to learning today and getting to visit all of the speakers and presenters today, and being open to learning whatever you can from today. So we understand that there will be tech issues today. There are people to help you. Do not feel alone. We are all in this together. All right. So if you've ever been in STEM², you know that you usually start out your day with an oli, or a chant. And that chant is e homai. And this oli talks about accepting and opening yourself to knowledge around you, above you, to the people that you interact with. But really, it's just, again, opening yourself up, making sure that you are open to learning. So I use this oli, or this chant, every day with my students in the morning as the start of our day, and it helps me see where they're at and knowing where they are in their learning, in their day, in how they feel that day. It is also a cultural practice that I do with my students and with myself, in knowing that oli and chant is something that is traditional to this place in Hawaii. So STEM² is a place-based construct, and Hawaii is my place. So we try to engage in cultural practices like chanting or oli. All right, so I'm going to play audio for everybody, because I don't want to just sing by myself. I would like you all to hear a collective of voices that represent our morning, and not just the STEM² morning, but kids around the state do this oli, and it does sound like this. So I'm going to make sure that my audio feature can play. Wait. Tara, what was the way to share the audio?
When you open screen sharing, so you might have to stop screen sharing and then restart it. And when you
can leave it on. You can leave it on. Oh,
oh, sorry.
You can do a new share. Either way.
I don't know why we're asking me, actually. It's the bottom left.
Yes.
At the bottom left. Got it. Sorry, it's asking me for a password. Okay, here we go. So before you oli, usually you're in a standing position, your arms are to your side. Your arms are not behind you. Your arms are not in front of you or in your pockets. Just to open yourself physically, open yourself emotionally, and yeah, making sure that you are in a space where you can learn.
He ho mai pa. He ho mai ka ke mai luna mai. O na me au na no eu. O na le. He ho mai. He ho mai. He ho mai. He ho mai ka ke mai luna mai. O na me au na no eu. O na le. He ho mai. He ho mai. He ho mai. He ho mai ka ke mai luna mai. O na me au na no eu. O na le. He ho mai. He ho mai. He ho mai.
I'm gonna not share. Okay. Stop share. So we usually start that out to open ourselves up and make sure that we are here to learn. STEM² is a construct that will make you question what education is and should be and could be. But I would say oftentimes we come to the space with our own structures that we've built about what this place is and what education is. And so I really would like you all to take this Oli to heart and really questioning and being open to saying, what could education be? What is knowledge? And whose knowledge matters? With that said, I'm going to hand over this presentation to Venetia, who will be sharing. And then after that will be Tara, the director of STEM². And I think after that, we will be moving on to more people. But Venetia, you may take the floor.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Venetia. I'm really honored to be in this space and to be able to share with you all this morning. I'm an artist, creator, poet, photographer. I'm also a writer, curriculum developer, and an educator. I believe in the power of storytelling to transform spaces and people. I believe that we're all creators. We create moments, stories, lessons, ideas, relationships, and we're seen every day by those around us, whether it's seeing ourselves or seeing others. We're constantly creating images to be absorbed. And I believe that we can push ourselves to be intentional about how we're seen authentically and fully. So today I am going to share a poem with you that tells a story and creates an image. I burned the pages of my anatomy textbook. One by one, ripped every sheet from its tome binding. December 13th, 1998, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. I sat cross-legged in my suburban white pallet neighborhood, crisp breeze crossing my face, lighter in one hand, textbook in the other. Miss Adams told me the science of anatomy was rooted in memorization. I need only crack open the book and try a bit harder. Miss Adams didn't know how hard I was trying, how much I thought I would love anatomy before I met her, before my Black body graced the seats of her classroom. the only Black body to grace the seats of her classroom. My desire to understand the body, its movements, its reasoning, Miss Adams didn't know that she was the beginning of a severing. I sat in the driveway that December afternoon and I remembered Mr. Stern. Mr. Stern taught fifth grade science. No, Mr. Stern taught fifth grade discovery. With fascination at his fingertips, we snaked our way through a year of observation, thoroughly seared into my memories, my truths about learning and exploration, unearthing and inventing. We identified trees in the park where my mom took us on special lunch dates, categorized leaves that we found on walks about the schoolyard pond, analyzed owl pellets that he likely bought from some science teacher factory, but seemed to be pulled from his magician's bag on a day when I needed discovery most. We watched the moon drift around the earth on a VHS tape he lent out for us to share with our families. We used magnets to replicate the pull of the ocean along the shoreline just before summer's break would take many of us to tides and coasts where fish frolicked and learning could be forgotten. We learned to use our hands, to reconstruct and to create. We learned how to take our time, that moving slowly was a necessity of discovery, that Earth's abundance was found in the waiting. For the science fair that year, I created a life-size model of a video phone. Scientific innovation in 1993 was my greatest fascination, a cardboard replica with every wire in place, a perfectly scaled model of my wildest dreams. Miss Adams didn't know that I was a scientist before she met me, that Mr. Stern had instilled a light in my being, shining bright on discovery and exploration. Miss Adams found a way to dim that light, to dig a hole where a squirmy, new to the neighborhood high school freshman's light could be buried. Miss Adams taught me that I wasn't any good at science. Stop trying. This just isn't for you. I stepped away from my intellect more completely. Collegiate geology and earth science were the easy A's, lecture halls and study guides that looked like tests. No need to actually learn science. Memorization, just Miss Adams said. Long forgotten were the days when I actually wanted to understand the world, to be meticulous about how we move our bodies, to discover and uncover, to create, and be meticulous, bridge technology with passion and dive deep into the structures that design our lives. I can't remember a damn thing from ninth grade anatomy or collegiate geology, environmental science classes, or earth science lectures, but I will always remember an owl's ability to swallow an entire mouth, digest its meats and spit out its bones and its fur. I will remember that mice have 225 bones, 19 more than humans. I will remember how delicate bones truly are. I will remember that the weeping willow can grow to 70 feet tall and that its leaves are really hard to pull from its branches. I will remember that the moon pulls the ocean like a magnet pulls paper clips across the wooden top of a fifth grader's desk. I will always remember that I am not a scientist before I remember that I am. I will remember that my worldview was shaped by yours. This I will always remember. Thank you.
I just collected, woo!
Yeah.
Mahalo, Venetia. Yeah, feel free to put in the chat box. You can open your mic now. I'm gonna be overwhelmed for a moment. Hey, Pervy. I just saw you pop up. Huh. And for those that know me, water. Hi, I'm Tara. I'm emotional. Huh. Whew. Mahalo, Stacy. Mahalo, Venetia. that is just an amazingly appropriate way to start a STEM² day. To avoid me having to do too much public speaking, because I don't love it, to be perfectly honest, but I do love this space. We're going to start with a brief video that was actually designed for NSF, but to push NSF, National Science Foundation, in thinking about what STEM could be, which I think Venetia's poem also pushes us to think about. What is it not? What could it be? What should we be making? And what kind of spaces, teaching and learning spaces, and just life and community spaces could we and should we be creating for each other? I think, Winnell, you are screen sharing. If you could play the video, and then I will follow up after that.
STEM² stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Math, Social Sciences, and Sense.
Or not. Is it frozen to everybody else, or is that just me?
Why there's not sound?
Place comes from a challenge that we discovered when I was serving as an education crew member for the worldwide voyage of Hokulea, an iconic Polynesian voyaging canoe. And they sailed around the world on a 3-year voyage, and we found that sisters in Hawaii had a really difficult time initially connecting the voyage of these 2 iconic canoes to STEM curriculum taking place in their classrooms. So we started with a small ESEA grant in 2011, working with 20 teachers, designing curriculum to connect what we call the canoe to classroom and the classroom to the canoe. STEM² as a construct exists in 3 parts. It's a theoretical framework, it's a pedagogy, and most importantly, it's a network of educators, both formal and informal, numerous community partners that work together to imagine transformational teaching and learning spaces.
I think the very unique thing about STEMs is that they take us on these amazing learning journeys, show us how to deal with community partners. We go into the field and we have these amazing, rich experiences. And that provides a very special, unique lens for us. The STEMS experience is really hands-on education. It's makahana ka'ike, which is an olelo no'ea that means the learning is in the doing.
We've built out a master's program that's going to graduate its 100th graduate in 2020. The network itself has grown to roughly 200 people now. And what we aimed to do in the beginning was create real-world cultural and place-based connections to content that was being taught in classrooms. And where we are now is looking at expanding the notion of what counts as STEM. What we're learning is that this construct has many arms, and those many arms need some sort of centralizing home. So we think our next real evolution will be building some sort of STEM² institute. But as we come together in whatever this institute starts to look like, that we start building the capacity for more participation, greater arms, and greater evaluation of the impacts of the work that we're doing.
If you want to create amazing connections for students, if you want to create an equitable education for our students, if that's the kind of teacher that you want to be, and you want to create these amazing connections with the community and with the families, then STEMS is the way to go. STEM² is the place for you to learn how to do that, because it will empower you with the tools that you need to make a difference where you are.
Mahalo, Winnell. So, largely framed by Stacy and Venetia's beginning, starting off today. Also, just a plug, Venetia will be presenting. If you check out your program online, Venetia will be presenting tomorrow afternoon. So to hear more of her wonderful work, not tomorrow afternoon, maybe afternoon to you, but to hear more of her wonderful work, you want to attend session 4. So STEM² as a construct exists of these parts that you see on the screen. So science, technology, engineering, and math, the traditional things we call STEM. And then we added social science, so this idea that if you're integrating anything, you're integrating everything. And at its core is sense of place. Who are we, and whom I individually, who are you individually, who are we collectively in real world problem solving? What does that mean our kuleana, our responsibilities, our roles in that problem solving are? And really is
pushing for the notion of looking at STEM beyond growth national product, beyond military complex, and looking really more back to community and connecting learning of content to learn about self, and to impact our places in the spaces that we steward. So next slide. STEM², there'll be a matrix that actually we just made up 2 days ago. That's how STEM² rolls. We're constantly learning, constantly evolving, critiquing, and modifying our process. So in that video where it said the next thing is creating some sort of institute, that's about as far as that ideation has gotten. So a challenge I throw out to you is, if you have ideas of what some sort of collective looks like, I don't even know or think that institute is the right name. It is just the limit of where my academic mind could go. We are super open. This really is a collaborative community, and we encourage engagement with and amongst ourselves as much as possible. It is a multiple minds construct. Master's students hear me say a lot, nobody's STEM² alone, which is true, you can't. As a construct, it exists of these five content areas and then these 5 pillars. On the 5 pillars, AO, I borrowed the explanation from Manu Myers in her video on Pedagogy of Aloha, where she says, AO, AO, and she does this reciprocal teaching and learning as like a ping pong ball bouncing back and forth. Makavalu, meaning literal translation, 8 eyes. For us, it's how are we seeing any person, any problem, any space, any place from multiple lenses at one time. Our sense of place, which is rooted in an identity construct, advocacy, and mo'olelo. Mo'olelo, I think, often gets translated in its most simplistic form as legends. We really look at it as it's the history. It's the oral and written shared history and shared understanding of populations, and that each of us have the mo'olelo that informs our understandings of the world. And if we can makavalu others' mo'olelo, then we can see people from their multiple dimensions. So if you can go next slide. As a construct, it has 3 parts. So what you're starting to recognize is I keep saying as a construct, it has all these things. There are a number of layers. And I'm loving what's happening in the chat box, so keep that up, that's awesome. So the 3 sort of construct parts of the construct are research. It's the theoretical framework that's grounded in work that both academic work and community partner work that has been happening for millennia. Honestly, this is perhaps a repackaging, but nothing new than from what we have learned from generations is good, is just pono in the world. It's a pedagogy. It's in academic terms, we talk about pedagogy as your philosophy and way of teaching. In a lot of ways, STEM² is just a way of being. And it's this network, this collective that's here now and will continue to grow, hopefully. Next slide. So as you go into the presentations today, and the presentations across the next 2 days, STEM² having its multiple parts and its many layers, there are moments certainly where any one thing is all of those parts. I find those to be truly magical moments. Really, STEM² is the sum of its parts. It's the sum of the collective network. It's the sum of our knowledges. It's the sum of the people. And so these presentations collectively are the sum. These presentations collectively, both today and tomorrow, are STEM², the sum of them. When we were planning for cohort 6, and cohort 6, you'll see this grid a little bit later in an assignment that the brilliant minds of Sherry, Hope, Ali, and Stacy cooked up. We started really trying to deconstruct more. What is this STEM² thing? And created this grid and the thoughts of, could you make a bingo board out of it? So I challenge you, can you make a bingo board out of it? I actually started to think about STEM² existing on an X and a Y axis. So I guess I would have flipped them around. But the grid says, so on your left are the 5 pillars, A'o, advocacy, makavalu, mo'olelo, and sense of place. On the top are the content areas. And as you go through the presentations today and tomorrow, I encourage you to find the spaces of intersect. Find multiple spaces of intersect. Where's the A'o and technology, and the A'o and advocacy and engineering, and the math and makavalu? And at the end, when we close tomorrow, I'll ask you to come back. So however it is that you process information, for me, that happens both just sticking in my head and writing things down. When you come back at the end of the symposium tomorrow, I'm going to ask you to go back to your notes and to think about where did you find those spaces of intersect. And then we're going to ask you a reflection question. Finding those spaces of intersect, whatever it is you found for yourself over today and tomorrow, what now, what next? And we will create some sort of collective, wordily artistic thing. We're figuring that out, where our shared voices will set our next steps. Please use this grid for however valuable it is to you, but please search for 1 to 1 billion spaces of intersect. And lastly, I just want to thank really all of you for being here. It's an amazing collection of just amazing people. Water. Which also doesn't work, by the way. It should, because it's supposed to stall you because it stops your esophagus, but it doesn't work. Not for me anyway. I really want to thank the tech support people, which are going to be multiple folks, but primarily Adam and Frank, and thank you so much. Faye and Arian, the DCDC team, when we figured out, lost my words, when we figured out we had to move this online, it's just a website. When we figured out we had to move this online, they built a fantastic website that you will engage with today as your program, and we now will explain exactly how that works next. So yeah, tech, and yeah, DCDC. And then to this, I'm working on it, Allie. To the truly extraordinary planning committee who I asked, please just try to make this real. And they've done just an amazing job. So thank you. Why now, please save me.
Okay, aloha kako. My name is Wainel Yu. I'm also a graduate, a proud graduate of STEMS Cohort 1. I just wanted to start off by thanking you all for being here. I'm going to go over some of the more logistical components of being here with us today in the STEM² Symposium. And I just wanted to add that I think no STEM² experience is complete unless you've experienced Tara's crying. Unless it's come to that point, you have not truly experienced STEM². So thank you, Tara, for starting off our day with that. For those of you who joined us last year, we gathered in the halau at Kamaku Okalani building at Hawaiian Studies here at the UH Manoa campus. If you're familiar with this place, you know that it has a very strong presence and a strong sense of place. This year, as we gather online, we realize that we have the ability to define this place that we are engaging in. So as Tara, Jamie Lum, Jamie Kent, and I began to imagine what this online STEM² symposium would look like, we kept the STEM² pillars and these learning journeys in mind. So our learning journey schedule for today is broken up into 2 main sessions. The first will be an hour-long workshop. The second will be 2 30-minute long talk story sessions. Each day that you join us here at the symposium, we will start and end our day in these collective spaces to ground ourselves within this community. And like our STEM² learning journeys, we ask that you keep engaged in this space. Tara will ask our STEM² cohorts to engage on these many different levels. So we ask you to be engaged academically, socially, cognitively, and in this place. So as part of that, we encourage you to keep your videos on, to use the chat box, to turn your mics on. But we also ask you to keep in mind that we are recording these sessions. We are planning to post these onto our symposium website when this is over. So if you do not want to be recorded, we apologize for that, but you want to be mindful about the ways that you're engaging in these spaces. We also encourage you to attend as many sessions over the 2 days as possible, because like our STEM² summer learning journeys, you can't really define STEM² by one lesson or one experience, but STEM² is realized in the collective over the entire 3-week experience. This symposium is really going to be realized over the full effect of all the sessions over the 2 days. So we thank our presenters and also you for attending and contributing to this space. As I mentioned earlier, there are 2 talk story sessions as part of session 2 within the hour. We've arranged them thematically, and both sessions will be held in the same Zoom room. So we hope that you will stay for both presentations that occur within the same session as they speak to multiple perspectives around the same topic. So where do we go from here? For going forward, each of our sessions are going to take place in 6 different Zoom rooms. So over our STEM² Symposium spaces, we're actually operating within 7 different Zoom rooms and Gamer Jive, as we'll talk about later. Jamie is going to put the links for our first workshop sessions in the chat box. After you're done with that first workshop session, you can actually go to our website where the full schedule is posted, and you will actually see, if you click on each presentation description, there will be a link. It'll say attend online. You can click that link and go into the Zoom room. We've password protected all of our Zoom rooms. The fact that you're here with us today means that you successfully entered that password. So you will use that same password for all of the Zoom rooms that you entered today. If at any time you run into any tech issues, Frank, some of our organizing committee will be here in this main room, the STEM² gathering space, so you can always return back here. Each session will have a moderator. We thank cohort 5 for volunteering their time and helping us out in that way. So you can also try to work with that moderator in that room to get some assistance. And lastly, as I mentioned before, our place today is made up of these 7 Zoom rooms and Gamer Jive. And although we're trying to create a space grounded in the pillars of STEM, we realize that in this online space, you're both in this place and your own place at the very same time. So we encourage you to bring your place into our collective space. And this is one of the reasons why we invited you to start your day by sharing where you're from. Each one of you is going to contribute to defining the STEM² Symposium. So please keep this in mind as you go out and play with STEM². We hope to see you back here in the STEM² Symposium gathering place at 11:35 a.m. We will be sticking around in this room just in case anyone has any questions. Otherwise, our first session will begin, I believe, at 9:20 a.m. And Jamie has put all of those links in the chat box. So mahalo and have a wonderful day.